welcome to DL Gaming. I'm Bobby.
I'm Nick.
And I'm encouraging Bobby to give this episode the old alcohol try.
Sounds good to me.
That's a deep cut for San Diego natives.
Yep. All right.
So,
what?
Oh no, I was saying. So, what secrets do you have for us this week, Bobby?
No secrets this week, but we do have a new segment that we're going to be trying out in 2 weeks. Nick won't be here next week, so we'll do it in 2 weeks. But we've long talked about doing this, where we all play the same game and then we discuss it, kind of like a gaming book club in a way. It's been very difficult for us to do in the past, but we're going to give it a shot. And our first game that we're going to be talking about 2 episodes down the line is going to be Days Gone.
What's good about this, or about Steam? I mean, the amount of stuff that they offer, man, is so crazy. Just from the Steam link from last week to play a remote play together to family share. Family share is like a mind blow. If any kind of business person would be like, "You're gonna give away your shit for free? What are you talking about?" But yeah, as long as like one of us buys it, then we all have it, you know?
Well, I think Family Share addresses this long-standing issue that video games have had ever since we moved to digital distribution. When we bought cartridges, you used to be able to lend those to your friends or bring it over to your friend's house.
Sure.
And we lost that completely when we went digital. So I'm glad we have something like Family Share that allows us to do something similar again.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't say a bad word about it. What I would say is like, is it hurting the bottom line, and do they care? Steam, I'm talking about.
I don't think so. The way they've been operating right now, like I think they're literally just printing money.
Dude, there's Steam groups called Family Share, like Family Share Swap or whatever, and
there's whole like subreddits about it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and they just play each other's games. You know, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Luckily for you guys, I never play video games. I play video games about 3 to 4 hours a week. So my library's available all the time. Nick, if we haven't set it up, we have to set that up. And
we'll set it up.
Yeah. We'll base it off of my account, and then we'll go from there.
But so for those that don't know about Days Gone is a pretty unique look at the post-apocalyptic / zombie genre. It's a storytelling game. It's a single-player game primarily. What it is, the story is told from a biker perspective, so it deals a lot with biker culture, which isn't super prominent nowadays. That was something that was really prominent in the 80s and 90s. But it's like set post-modern. There's no like futuristic stuff or anything like that, but they call zombies freakers. The zombies kind of have like unique like mechanics. Like they have like nests, as weird as that sounds. There's massive hordes in the game. There are like objective-based hordes where like the main story makes you kill hordes, but there's just like hordes that are just walking around the map, and they're kind of like weather like anomalies.
Like force of
nature.
nature.
If you defeat them, you get a bunch of cool shit too. So.
Damn, that's cool. I like the whole. First of all, anything we've talked about this last episode. Post-apocalyptic, I'm in. Zombies, I'm in. Like, and then the reviews have been very good on this. The other storyline about this, isn't this a PlayStation game, Nick?
Yes. So that is why a lot of people are freaking out about it. Is that Sony is starting to see the benefits of selling their console exclusives on Steam specifically. I don't think we're going to see a Sony, launcher and everything like that. I think we're going to start seeing just shit coming out on Steam. But they are seeing the success of Horizon Zero Dawn. They're seeing like the success of Days Gone already with pre-orders and current purchases and things like that. And so I think we're going to start seeing some more games going to PC. I don't think they're going to do God of War. I would love for them to do it, so I can see some of my friends that don't own a PS5 or a PlayStation 4 able to play it. But we'll see. I think it's a start of a good trend.
Yeah, I hope so,
yeah.
Man. More on that
another
later.
thing about sorry to interrupt. Another thing about this, about Days Gone specifically, though, that is really interesting is that So it's been out for I think over a year and a half or 2 years on PlayStation, and because of that, I shouldn't say all the issues, a lot of the issues that were a problem in the game when it first came out, which made it have like kind of all right reviews, have been addressed and like fixed, and the game looks incredible on PC. Like you can see people's like blackheads and pores, like it's insane.
It's kind of what happened with Horizon Zero Dawn and Red Dead Redemption. First of all, we get the most patched version, and then we get usually enhanced graphics or frame rates. For sure, frame rates, because it usually is capped on PS4. But we usually
voting on the games that we play every following week, kind of like Movies on the DL. Shout out to Movies on the DL. So if you don't know, Movies on the DL is where they review movies that are voted on by the community, and so we might be extending that here to the current podcast.
Cool. All right, let's talk about some other games that have been on our radar. So one that I wanted to bring up is called Lies of P. Somebody posted this in the Discord, and it looks weird. This is a retelling of the Pinocchio story.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
A
God.
very dark look at it. So Lies of P, I can assume they mean Pinocchio for P. And they say it is a Souls-like game.
What?
Yeah.
That's not what.
That's what's up.
Like
I want to play that.
I was so on board, and then I was like, "Oh, we're going this way. We're gonna make a hard right."
Yeah, it is a little weird. So they say there are multiple endings. There are lying quests. You have to lie throughout the game. I wonder if your nose gets bigger when you do. And it is
Maybe your
Or your
sword,
sword
gets
gets
bigger. That'd be fucking crazy. You just lie the whole time to get a huge sword that you can't swing.
Maybe, yeah. The setting is really interesting. It reminds me a lot of BioShock, almost in a way.
It seems like the lighting is really Bioshocky the way it looks like.
Yeah, a lot of the screenshots and the video, it looks very BioShock to me. The way the enemies look, the surroundings. Yeah, it could be interesting. This does not have a release date yet. It doesn't have a price. It's coming from a studio that I'm not familiar with. It's just completely out of left field. But what an interesting concept.
What a great concept. I mean,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of dark takes on like fairy tales.
Well,
It's been
fairy
happening
tales
forever.
were originally very dark. They
Yeah,
just
Very
The
dark.
Brothers
I
Grimm.
believe the original Pinocchio, doesn't he eat his dad to be real or something like that?
Holy shit! I don't know.
Or
Dude,
something like that. Like, and someone has to burn Pinocchio alive. Like, it gets really fucking gruesome. Like, I'm going to look up the actual story in a second.
a lot of fairy tales, they were there to like make children behave, so they were like scare tactics basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they were all so dark.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, something to keep an eye on there.
Cool.
All right. What else we got?
I don't know. None of them were mine this time.
All right. Well, let's talk about synthetic.
So we have Biomutant, which is a game that I put on there. Biomutant is I don't know what to call this thing, man. It's part furry simulator, part action RPG. Like the graphics look amazing. I've watched a couple reviews on it already. It makes me want to play it. A lot of the things that they're pushing is like complete customability of your character, like, and also customability, actually, like customization of your character makes a difference on your abilities and stuff. So if you're gonna, so I think there's 9 or 7 races, I can't remember, but choosing your race obviously gives you certain abilities and things like that. But also making your guy fat or making him tall or making him like this and that, like it all actually affects your stats. Essentially, there's not supposed to be like your character is really supposed to be unique. There's people have made videos like 2 hour long videos of them just customizing their character. There's guns, there's swords, there's all different types of combat. It looks like Zelda Breath of the Wild, but set in like a furry, and I don't mean furry like the fetish, but like in a
Anthropomorphic.
anthropomorphic
Yeah.
animal world.
Yeah.
But it looks really cool, man. I think I might get Leslie to play this game. So
We've both been talking about this. Now you're saying races, but I think what's actually more fitting is species, right? Yeah, like
yes, species is the more accurate
everything's
word.
walking on 2 legs, but The main character is kind of well, shit. Is he even a real?
No, that's just a character. Like that's a character you can make.
Yeah.
But there is no like main. It's like it's kind of like the Shepherd syndrome in Mass Effect.
Yeah.
Where
Do we know if it's single player, Nick?
it's I believe it's single player. It's just single player.
Okay. Wow.
So let me double check. But I'm pretty sure it's single player. But
just
keep
single
going on.
player.
Oh, I forgot to mention this. Did you guys hear about the new BioShock?
Which one?
So they just the devs for BioShock just announced that they're writing the new game, and it's not going to be in either setting. Like it's not going to be in the air or in the sea. It's going to be somewhere new
In a volcano.
or space.
Is this the game that they had announced? There's always BioShock news, but BioShock 4, it was supposed to be a what is that? A constant world,
Persistent world.
yeah, like a persistent world, subscription based. Like it sounded very pay to win when I heard about it. I remember hearing an announcement and thought, wow, that is horrible for a BioShock game. The idea.
No, I thought they scrapped that. This announcement was like a week ago, or like this past week. Like they announced that they are going to be making a new BioShock. It's going to have a little bit different play style, but it's going to be outside of Rapture and outside of Columbia. So,
all right. I mean, I'm not too excited. I think we've all kind of moved on from the BioShock series.
Maybe you, bro. I mean, the last one was good. So you're only as good as your last game, right?
In 2013, gaming has changed a lot since then.
That's true.
I think
lot.
we found out that one of our listeners, Warconius, had never played a BioShock game, and we're like, oh my God, well, you got to play BioShock 3. And then he went and played it, and like,
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I mean,
well, anything that doesn't have Solid Snake in it, he's gonna say meh. Or Kojima attached.
I don't know. Somebody go play BioShock 4 again and let us know. Maybe I'll do that. I'm sorry, BioShock 3. BioShock Infinite.
3 is Infinite.
I played
right?
BioShock Infinite. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Another game that I wanted to bring up is Synthetic 2. So they're making a sequel.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Did we need a sequel yet? I didn't play the first one, but I know it was very popular. I've looked at the screenshots. I watched the footage. It all seemed very similar to the original one.
Yeah, absolutely, it does. The perspective is a little different. There's like a 3/4. The other one was dead on, but I mean, besides that, the graphics look a little more cartoony from what I could tell. Nick, did you play this?
Yeah, you made me play it with you. You like forced me to.
Oh, did you like
You were
it?
like, I'll send a bomb in the mail if you don't. So, but no, I ended up playing it. I really like Synthetic. I didn't have the time to continuously play it.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like a release this quick is almost like, why isn't this an expansion? Why make a second game? But you know,
They've got a whole section on the Steam page here that says new and Synthetic 2. So they have a new rule set version 2, which brings gameplay and the world into a whole new level. So we're just getting some real generic talk here.
Yeah.
That's their first line, you know.
Oh, geez.
That should be your last line.
Fresh new progression system. Experiment with powerful technologies. Take possession of powerful faction arsenals. Re-engineered new techs. New synthetic universe expanding on the machine gods and the technologies. I don't know what a lot of this means. Maybe that makes more sense to what you guys who have played it.
No, I've played a lot of it. I don't know what any of that means. Although, you know, when you're on there, you're kind of, as soon as you start playing the game, you're on the server, you know, and you could see the chat of people playing this game. And there are people that are so deep. They're using acronyms and all kinds of stuff. I have no idea what's going on. This is the way I play this game. When John and I are going to start a session of gaming, we usually warm up with some Synthetic. It's just easy. We can both jump in. It's fun for sure. And that's just how I play it. You know, it's not like a try hard. Although, I mean, you could take it to the nth degree. It has a ton of depth. That's not the way I play it.
Okay. Well, the release date is 2021, so it's not that far out. No price just yet. But
Looks pretty awesome.
Even if it's more of the same, I'm sure that'll be fine because the first one Did a lot right, it sounded like.
Yep.
Okay. And the last thing we're going to bring up is Knockout City. This is a dodgeball game. When is the
Fuck
last
yeah.
time?
What?
Last time was on the SNES and it was called Super Dodgeball.
Yeah, everything on the SNES was super something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Knockout City, this is going to be, they've got a free trial that you can grab right now, but it's an EA game and they have a that's the subscription for Origin Access, but the game itself is $20, which seemed, I don't know. I don't know much about the game, but it almost seems like this would be a free to play game with microtransactions. That's not the route they're going apparently, although it does look like there's lots of things you need to unlock.
But really quickly, Bobby, like how cool is this? Scroll down again, please. You can see that here's the price, $20, or for $5, you can get EA Origin, right? And be
EA
able to
Play is what they're calling
EA
EA
Play.
Play is
Yeah.
their version
Steam
of
version of
Xbox
it.
Game Pass.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool that it has the both options. I don't think I've seen that too much on Steam.
Yeah, well, it's on a lot of the EA games now since they finally decided to put their games on Steam. But the idea of a dodgeball game sounds fun, and it's very cartoonish. It looks like they're having fun with it. I just worry with games like these that there's a game that all three of us have played, actually, that is a great example of this. It was called Loadout. We
Love
all
that game.
played it when it first came out, and it was so
Was that the
much
one
fun.
where like you're supposed to look like Rambo and like there was a bunch of like adult shit in it too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a character that looked like Rambo. Yeah, and there was a lot of adult content. But that was
can't
such a
remember.
great game when it first came out. But then a week after its release, then all the pay-to-win stuff really surfaced, and there were people that would just blow you away, and because they had spent more money
Yeah.
and gotten the
PC?
upgrades, and yeah, it just ruined the game. I don't know how much longer the game would have been after that, but we had a great time with it for a while. But it's so easy to ruin a game like this when you introduce those other elements. Like you can either grind or you can pay, and you can level up and just have an advantage. Now, if it's just cosmetics, yeah, that's a little different, I suppose. But I don't know. But then what's the alternative? To not have that, no progression, then just rely on the game itself being fun? That doesn't always work either, because sometimes just the content of the game doesn't hold up after a week.
Ideally,
So what
I
do you,
mean,
so
the
I
way-
have
the way that Smite did
I have
it,
a conceptual question for you, Bobby, in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to, for example, Battlefield, right? So when you play Battlefield, let's say Battlefield, I think 7 or whatever the one that's coming out, or Battlefield 6 comes out, right? You don't have the time to play it. You don't pick it up until like 6 or 7 months after it's out, right? In one of the previous Battlefields, I believe it was Hardline, you could actually pay $5 to unlock almost everything in one of the classes. And it was sort of like a catch-up mechanic because there was a clear difference in like strength of like the rocket launchers and explosives from the late game to like the early game. Now, do you think that's okay? Like it's like a delayed kind of like catch-up pay mechanic? Or what do you think about that?
That's not really something I would personally buy into, but I don't know. I guess it's fine. $5 if people are okay with that, and it's really important to them. But
the problem is $1,000 and you're a god. That's the really big problem.
Yeah.
That's what you really want to avoid.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like I think in the beginning, like when the game launches, like no microtransactions except for cosmetics. Like if I want to run around in like a pink tutu, let me pay my $2 and I'll run around. Like I don't care. But like if it's like, oh, pay $5 and you get the M249 saw, and you're like, what the fuck? Because now you're just mowing people down with a fully automatic machine gun. So
Yeah.
it's
Well-
it's hard to it's a case by case basis for me.
Two
Yeah.
things did it well. Here's two different ways of looking at it. So Smite did it only cosmetics. They came out with amazing cosmetics that like you look at them and you're like, I have to fucking spend the money. It's kind of like Fall Guys in that way, where that's all you can buy. And
But in
I
a
think-
MOBA, you can't really do that. You can't. Well, I don't know. I guess League does that
yeah,
because League.
Yeah, you can
get
buy characters with actual money.
Well, no, I'm not just talking about characters. I mean, yeah, that is kind of shitty that you have to pay to get all all the characters. But in League, they have, what are they, rune scrolls or something?
They got rid of those.
Oh, they did.
So
Okay.
they got rid of all of that. So now all that part of the game is free and doesn't need to be grinded.
Okay, yeah, because it was such a grind just to get to
Yeah.
a level where you were properly competitive.
And then the other way
Yeah.
you can do it is TF2, where there's new weapons and new loadouts, but the payout, nothing's ever better. It's always a trade off. You could, and they did it so well because, every character at this point must have 10 variations on their main weapon and 10 variations on their other two weapons. And most people, I feel like, use the original one still. Like, you might see some other people using these other weapons, but there's always this huge disadvantage to using. It's always give and take.
Well,
And so that's another way you can
Well, what
go
they
about
did,
it.
Heroes of the Storm, the designers of that game talked about this often because you chose talents in that game. And
All those people are homeless now, Bobby. The ones you're talking
No,
about.
they work for Blizzard. They're doing fine. But they talked a lot about how it was very difficult to balance when all you offered were positive buffs to an item. But the minute that you start doing trade-offs, like, okay, you gain this buff, but then you lose this, it's so much easier to balance. And that's exactly what TF2 did. You can get this new weapon.
Way early in the game.
Yeah.
First, free to play. First with those trade-off weapons. Still best game of all time.
They actually just integrated that into League right now.
Yeah.
With the you can buy what is called like a legendary item, which is like a better version of all the normal items. And then you can not build another legendary item. So like depending on what legendary item you buy, which is like dozens of, it determines your play style for that character. And there's always a variance on what you can choose for one character or not.
Yeah. But going back to TF2, I think that's a great example of a game that's just fun without all the bullshit that usually gets added into games. I've had hundreds of hours in TF2 before they even added hats.
Yeah.
That the core gameplay is so much fun, and it's not in a manipulative way. Like, we know you're just here because you want to grind to get this upgrade or this cosmetic, which a lot of games do. And it is kind of nice to have that progression, that overall big picture progression, because you feel like your time is being rewarded. But I feel like that is just way too often used perniciously in newer games.
Nick, how much TF2 time do you have?
Do nothing close to you guys. I would guess the closest game I would have to you guys as far as hours played is either Tarkov or what is it called? Total War Warhammer 2. What's your TF2 time?
Well, we were playing before they were
Before they
tracking,
counted hours.
Before they counted hours. So,
Yeah.
1,400, it would be my guess.
Okay, yeah. So
Because I have
think
900.
Tarkov I have
No, way more.
I
dude.
have
I have 900 on the engineer. That's one class.
Jesus
So,
Christ.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you would require me to put Total War Warhammer together and Tarkov, and that would be, I think, 2,400 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you take WoW, dude, and that would transcend anything. Anyway, a little more on Knockout City. I do like it's kind of asymmetry built in. Only one person has the ball. So one person's attacking, the other person's defending. And I think you have to execute some sort of catch maneuver if you're going to try to catch it. Because I saw
Are
that.
you explaining dodgeball to everybody?
Well, yeah, but it's in a video game, right? So,
Well, we can safely assume that it's going to apply by the same rules.
but what other video games have one where somebody has a gun and the other person doesn't have a gun?
Well, you can, if they throw their guns at each other, and then the other person catches it and can use it. And it looks like there's more than one ball in this game as well.
Yeah, but not equal to the amount of players, I don't think. Anyway, yeah, it makes it a little different than most shooters. It's more like you
Dude,
want
when
to
I-
catch people by surprise.
When I saw this title on the show notes, I was like, Knockout City. I'm like, dude, are we getting a new boxing game besides like Fight Night from like 12 years ago?
No,
And I was like, fuck, it's dodgeball.
100%. I thought when I saw it, I thought it was going to be a Smash Brothers clone.
Oh, that's a good idea too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about some games that we have been playing. I would just want to start off real quick by talking about Griftlands because this is the last you'll hear me talk about it for a while. I think I got it out of my system this week. I played a lot more Griftlands. I continue to do, once you beat the story mode with the characters, then you get access to this thing called the Brawl, which is just combat and negotiations, and you can go to the shop and buy and sell stuff. No story at all.
Endgame, basically.
Yeah, kind of like that. Which I absolutely love because I skip all the story anyway, and I
Did
don't
you hate
like.
the story?
I don't even know or care what the story was. I love the mechanics of that game. I am at the point now where I've played so much of this game that I have kind of broken it. I know exactly what is the optimal thing to do for this character and whether or not it's an argument or a battle. So I don't know. I think there needs to be some balancing. Like I want to say, oh, this is so broken, but like it's really because I have like 50 hours in this game that I've finally figured out like what's super effective. And also a slight correction from last week. There are actually only 2 playable characters right now. The third one was playable in a brawl. They do the day, not a brawl.
I
I'm sorry. They do daily,
Oh.
like daily quests that you can play, and it's some random thing. So he was playable in there, so I got to test him out a little bit, but he is not available in the other modes.
Nick, do you have anything to say about any of this? Because I bought you this game, and if you didn't play it, I'm going to be pretty upset.
I downloaded it.
Ooh, that's not what I want to hear.
I downloaded it. I launched the game, and then it crashed, and I was like, "Fuck this!"
Dude, something's going on with your computer, man. You can't
Yeah.
run this. It can't run Battlefront 2.
Which are on the same level.
of graphical fidelity. I know, right? It's crazy.
I can.
I know. I
can play
relaunched it.
this game.
I relaunched it, and it worked. But I want to. I really want to play it. This week that's coming is I'll have some free time in the beginning of the week. But I won't even be on the next podcast. But I'm gonna play it. I promise you. Before the next time I'm on, I'm gonna at least play 2 hours of it.
I can't wait to hear your less succinct review than Bobby's.
Yeah, it's gonna be like there's cards and the art's nice and
I'll save you some trouble
storytelling's good.
Let me tell you
That's
this right off the bat. So you're going to have 2 decks. One's for your combat, your battles, and the other one's for your negotiations. You're going to start off with the starting character, Sal, I'm assuming. So if you're playing that character, for negotiation, go with the hostility cards, the red ones. Don't even bother with influence, the green cards. Just go with the red cards.
I remember
Is
red
that
cards
because-
and Sal.
Is that because Sal gets a benefit to that?
No, that's just incredibly effective with her. I think the red cards are just overpowered in general for the
okay.
arguments, but especially with her. The other thing is, and I realized playing this week, so for your battle cards, if you go with bleed, just get a bunch of bleed. And if you go bleed, you're probably going to end up killing and not accepting surrenders. So you're going to end up murdering a lot of people. And that will in turn give you a lot of argument cards that will actually work well with the hostility cards.
You're talking to 7 people right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm giving him the inside track here on Griftlands. All right.
All of that reminded me of this. It just popped into my head. So I had a really good friend in EverQuest, a really good friend, and I forget his name and everything. I couldn't even, but we were good buddies. And his wife hated me because he would hang out with me so much, but she played as well.
Mm-hmm.
And she was higher level than us and everything. And somehow we dueled. I was like level 42 and she was 50. And she was pissed. She's like, she wants to duel you, dude. And I was like, all right, let's fucking do it. So we did it. And I was a necromancer, which is kind of always known as being overpowered for one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
But 8 levels of difference. And here's what really sucked. My dot killed her, not a direct hit, which, old computer stuff. It was like an NPC killed her, not a player. So she lost the experience. And there was
fuck.
and there was no clarity, which is when you're level 50, it's 2.5 weeks of hard grinding to get that what you lost back. So she dropped down to 49, and there's no clerics in the area that were powerful enough to res her at the time. Boy, did she hate me so much more after that. But it had nothing to do with me. It just happened that a dot tick killed her.
Wow.
That sucked.
All right. What have you guys been playing?
Well, I guess I'll let me
You go ahead. You go ahead.
You
I
don't
only
have
got
a
like
lot.
1.5 things to talk about. So
Well, it looks like I have a lot, but I really don't. I got a new computer. I've had it there for about a month. It's just been sitting there while waiting for me to have enough time to like set it up and all. But now the office is moved from my garage to the kitchen, which we never used. It was just a receptacle for papers and shit. Like we had a dinner table there, but nobody ever ate there. So we're like, yeah, let's just turn this into an office. So that's what happened. I talked about it a while ago. I got a really good deal. I'm on Slick Deals. I check it like once or twice a week. Every once in a while, you can find something really cool. So one of the posters, it's kind of like Reddit in that way, where some people just post the deal, and then they usually, if it's a good poster, they'll put all the hoops you have to jump through in order to get that price in order, like step by step. And for this Alienware, Dell Alienware Aurora R12, I got the like first time buyers discount, which was like $230 off, something crazy, whatever it was. Even though I've bought things from Dell before, maybe I started a new account. I don't know. There was, I don't know. It ended up being like 4 discounts altogether. I got up like almost $900 off. So what I got for $2,560 was an RTX 380, 2 terabytes, and an M.2, an i7 1100 700. And I got only 8 gigabytes of RAM, but I outsourced 16 bits, and I switched that out today. I got it. It showed up. It looks great. I mean, I think it's a really pretty looking computer on the outside. Like I said, it looks like a portal turret. I went with the black version, but the white one really looks like a portal turret. Besides that, all the, I remember buying pre-builts before, and it's the amount, the sheer amount of fucking shareware that they used to come with that you have to like go and delete and all this stuff. It's really been minimalized, or it's in the background where you don't see it. I really have to go through and like scrub everything out of there. But for the most part, it was just like, it pushed Cortana on me, stuff like that. But besides that, I mean, I was up and running 5 minutes. Like, I mean, we've gotten so far, Bobby. It's the goddamn promised land, Bobby. It's so different now. I had a great experience with it, Besides that, I have a 3080 card now, and I want to see what all the hype is about on crypto mining. So I did that. Between watching a video and having it up and running and making money was 15 minutes or so, maybe 20 minutes on the high end. But the market has completely crashed now that China pulled out and made it illegal or something like that.
So, I can elaborate on that, by the way, if you want.
Oh, please don't.
Oh,
No,
I'll give
go
you the
ahead.
short. I'll give you the cliff notes. So China does this every like year and a half, where they go, "Oh, we're gonna ban Bitcoin," and because China's such a big economy, everybody starts selling their shit. So they did it this time, and it's still up in the air if they're actually gonna do it. But everyone panic sold, and now it's like a chain reaction. So we're gonna. I don't know. I'm not. That's the gist.
yeah. So, of course, when I'm up and running, finally mining Bitcoin, or no, Ethereum, it's half of what it was when I set this whole thing up. But whatever. That's not why I bought it, really. I bought it for gaming. And more on that later, because I haven't really installed it. It's funny. My non-gamer friends, when they come over, they're always like, you're the fucking gamer guy, and you have this, like, awesome monitor looking, and every time we come over, you're playing 8-bit video games. Like, I get shit for it all the time. And it's true, dude. Like, I don't play that many things that really push the pixels. Horizon Zero Dawn I played that today, but those are limited by 2000 whatever graphics.
Mhm.
I'm gonna break out Cyberpunk, homie.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's a good call, man. That's a good call.
I would say that or Red Dead Redemption, because you can get Red Dead Redemption to look real fucking pretty.
Yep. Okay, cool.
So as far as things go, one thing that I wanted to pitch for the new segment that we're talking about, if we want to include multiplayer games into this, have you guys heard of The Isle?
Very briefly.
So, Bobby, do you know anything about this?
I saw somebody posted this in Discord, but no, I've not heard about it before.
So check this out.
Oh, it's a stomping land.
Huh?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, so The Isle is a new type of survival game. What is very interesting that they have changed is like normally in like survival games, it's like, oh, chop tree, make boards out of tree, make house, gather stuff, make better house, blah blah blah, right? In this game, there's only there's only two currencies: water and food. However, for one set of players, the food currency is other players. So there are a couple of different server types so far. So the game's multiplayer. I believe you can have up to 200 people on one server. You play as a dinosaur. On some servers, your dinosaur is randomized unless you're playing with friends. Then you all get chosen a random dinosaur, but you all get given the same dinosaur. You start off as like a hatchling. Like you'll eat bugs, or you'll scavenge carcasses and things like that, or you'll eat very tiny dinosaurs or like squirrels or whatever. And then you get all the way up. But for example, if you're a baby T-Rex and to get to a full-size T-Rex, it takes like 7 hours. So you're really investing on the server you're playing on, the type of dinosaur you're playing on, and they all have different play styles. There are some RP servers, which are pretty nuts as well. I don't really want to play on those, but from what people say, it's the true way to play, where it's like, oh, when there's a hunt, if the carnivorous dinosaurs kill a dinosaur, they can't chase the rest of them, because in the natural order, when like for example lions hunt zebras, once they kill a zebra, they all stop hunting and just eat the zebra. But I was thinking, if we wanted to play a multiplayer game, we could possibly play this. It's only $20. I think there's 11 dinosaurs you can play as right now, and there are incentives to play like the omnivores or the carnivores and even the herbivores, and so it seems pretty fun. You can't talk to other characters. Oh, that's another thing. So if you're like a Triceratops, you can't talk to the T-Rex player, and if you like type into world chat, your dinosaur makes a noise. So it's really they thought about a lot of stuff to kind of make it more hardcore. I played this 8 months ago, and it was not good. They only had like 3 dinosaurs. They are now doing a retexturing and re-asset upgrade. So because some of the graphics, because it came out in 2015, was the original like green light date, or like what's it called, like when it's like in beta essentially. But now they're redoing all the assets and redoing all the grass and everything. But now it's a great game.
It's really interesting, man. It's like you're taking aspects of like Tarkov or something, but you're taking away all the guns and you're just making it about 2 resources. It's a really interesting way of like, what a great idea.
Yeah, and so they've been selling a lot of copies lately, particularly because of a YouTuber named Soviet Womble made a video essay on it, and because of his video essay, I'm definitely going to pick it up again. Bobby, if you had to choose a dinosaur to be with me and Emilio, what would you choose?
A dinosaur to be? I don't know. Maybe a Stegosaurus.
They're very cool, for sure.
So yes, Stegosauruses, I believe, are not in the game yet. They are a planned dinosaur. The closest thing you're gonna get is an Ankylosaurus, which is like the dinosaur with the spikes on their back
Yeah, he's
with like
got
a
the
hammer
ball
tail.
Yeah.
Oh, Bobby's very, very aware, dude. You don't have to
Wait, what?
you don't have to mansplain anything to Bobby.
Well, the
Bobby
problem
knows
with the
dinosaurs?
I did, well, I played a lot of Jurassic Park
And Go Home
Evolution.
Dinosaur.
Oh yeah.
But the problem with a game like this for our game of the week idea is we're never on at the same time to play games. In fact, we could probably work gaming shifts we're on at such opposite times. Like
Yeah.
we could have a
Yeah.
24-hour stream with like our different hours because we're literally like right when you message me sometimes during the week, Nick, you're like, "Hey, are you going to be on?" I'm like, "Well, I'm going to be on at this time." You're like, "Oh, well, I got to leave at that time." Like literally it's
Yeah.
like
Every single time. Yeah, it's usually if I want to play with one of you guys or both of you guys, which is like a once in a year thing. Like if I want to play with Bobby, I'm like, all right, Leslie, I love you, I love Vivian, but I'm gonna abandon you for an hour and a half and play some Battlefront, or at least try to play some Battlefront.
yeah.
But we I think as time progresses and people's lives progress, like you're done with class, my work becomes a little bit more lenient
Well, I'm
and a
taking
little bit
9
more
more units during the
stabilized.
summer,
Emilio
so-
stops working 80-hour shifts. We'll actually start to be able to play video games together again.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I always say during summer, but time fills up quick, man. And I'm taking more school during the summer, so we'll see.
You're like, I mean, we'll figure it out. But no, like this kind of game, because it's such a unique aspect to like survival. I wanted to play it with somebody, at least one person, or shit. Maybe we get like the DLG crew and we have like 8
We got a lot of people who
fucking
play survival
raptors.
games on the Discord. I'm not
Yeah.
a big fan of survival games, but we definitely have a crowd that enjoys them.
You don't want to be a dinosaur, Bobby? It's so simple. You just eat, poop, and kill, or survive.
Yeah,
That's all you got to do.
doesn't
But,
sound like a great video game.
So, what's Stubbs the Zombie in a Rebel Without a Pulse? That's such a
Stubbs the
fucking
Zombie.
long ass name.
Yeah, well, it's Stubbs the Zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse. So this game came out in 2005. This is an old one, and it just popped up on the front page of Steam for me. It was on sale for $10, and I thought, hey, this looks interesting. You play as a zombie. You go and eat brains, and you convert NPCs into your zombie horde, and then you proceed throughout the level like that, attacking people. And I realized this game was on myabandonware.com. Now, if you've never been to this site, it's a great site. There's a lot of games out there where, I don't know, something with the licensing has taken place where it is no longer illegal to just download the game for free, and it is hosted in plain sight on this website called myabandonware. There are games like Star Wars Rebellion, which is a great Star Wars strategy game from the late 90s, that are on this site. And Stubbs the Zombie was there too. So downloaded it, thought I'd check it out. And turns out this game's very short. It's only like 4 hours long. I was playing on a harder difficulty, so it might even be shorter for you. Unfortunately, this game is made by a bunch of old Bungie devs, I think, after they left Microsoft. But this game, the gameplay is severely lacking. It's not that great. But this game has such a humorous tone, and they've got all these references. There's like a Patton reference and the movie Patton, a Michael Jackson bit, like all these things. The military guys are straight out of Doctor Strangelove. It's a really funny game, and the cutscenes, they really play up the humor, which I don't know if that was all that common back in the mid 2000s. And they've got like a really cool little story. It's in the 50s, but like a retro futuristic look on the 50s. And there's so many great things about it. But then when you get down to the gameplay, like the first hour is just a drag, and it doesn't get much better from there. But it's unfortunate when you see that, where a game does so many things right, and they got such a great idea, but they don't really follow through on the most important part, at least to me, which is the mechanics and the gameplay. Like you're basically stumbling through not very interesting maps. You've got a few attacks and abilities to turn people, but it gets very repetitive and bland after a while.
It could be one of those things where what they wanted to do. They had hardware. They ran into problems. Their
Maybe.
ideas were bigger than what they could actually technically do.
Well, what's interesting about this game is you convert all these NPCs into zombies and they become your minions. You can whistle and they come and follow you, and you can have them attack other people for you. So you get stronger as you go throughout the level. The problem with NPCs in the mid 2000s, and I don't know if people remember this, but AI was a huge issue. And Daikatana tried doing this, where you had a buddy, like one person, an NPC that would come along with you and help you, and it was disastrous. It caused no end of problems for them during development, and then when the game actually came out, it was super glitchy, and they just had to constantly patch it. So it was a real struggle to do this, and a lot of games were trying to do this. There was a Star Wars game, Republic Commando, where you operated in a team. Aliens, Colonial Marines, not that long ago, that game came out and had big problems with an AI partner. But what this game does is they give you this ability to push your fellow zombies out of the way. They introduced this in the tutorial, and I'm like, this is stupid. Why would I need a button to push my AI buddies out of the way? Sure enough, like a level or two later, we're in some tight corridors, and I'm like, these guys are just in my way. This is just
where's that push
be
button?
a debugging thing. Like that's probably like an AI thing. Like the limitations of the AI did not allow like the game to just automatically move NPCs. So like we got to give them a button for this, man.
Nick, 100%. That's something that came up in QA, and they were like, well, let's just get something right now to solve the problem, and they just kept that thing. You know what I mean?
Like a stopgap solution.
Yeah.
Possibly. Because it seems very ridiculous when they introduce, like, press E to push your fellow zombie away. I'm like, oh, okay, weird. But then, 2 levels later, you're like, this guy is in the doorway and I cannot get through. Broken game. Then you're like, the magic push button. Oh, that's why that's there. Yeah, but there's some funny bits in here, man. Like I laughed a few times, which doesn't usually happen while I play games. It's just unfortunate that the gameplay is so bad. But it's free on my Abandonware, and that, if nothing else, take away that website from this little monologue I've been ranting on.
So I have a quick question for you. Did you ever play All Humans Must Die?
No, I didn't play that. I'm trying to remember that game.
That's like a Mars Attacks thing,
okay,
right?
that's the Alien game they remade recently, and that
do
seems
you know
very similar.
When
to
did that
this
come out?
game. Yeah, I think that one was also like mid 2000s, and I had never. It was
2005, same year as this.
Yeah, same year as this.
This came out. All Humans Must Die came out 5 months earlier.
Okay, yeah, this came out November 15th, 2005. So yeah, that's kind of the same thing, and it looked very repetitive and boring. And then when the remake came out, I think a lot of people liked it because it was true to the original, but like upgraded in the right ways. But still, I remember just looking at all that. And I'm like, so what do? You just go around and you shoot people and then just open world sandbox thing? Like it just, I don't know.
It was, so I remember playing that game. That was one of the times where I rented a game and then I accidentally broke it. But more on that later. So it really is like a thing of its time where it's like, hey, we have these 3 core mechanics. Let's just use these core mechanics for the whole fucking game. And I feel like this is the same exact thing. Like the art style is almost exactly the same. The storytelling and the time period is almost exactly the same. I'm like, dude, this has to be like either a work.
I'd be willing to bet that the humor is probably a big part of that game as well.
It looks like it from what I'm seeing and like what you've said. It's almost exactly the same thing as far as the humor. I think All Humans Must Die is maybe a little bit more adult, but dude, this is exactly like it. If you can find All Humans Must Die, or if we do that for the new segment, which we're working on a name. One of the names is All for One. But we'll see if the segment sticks, and maybe we'll play that. Shit,
Why don't we just call it the Game of the Week? Why do we got to get so creative with it?
Because it's his baby, dude, and he's proud about it, dude. You gotta foster
All
these
for
things.
One. That's, I don't know.
Bobby hates everything, dude. So just
I know it's okay, but that's why we love him, right? He's the reality for the situation. He's like the guy where you're like, all right, this is how we become a billionaire, Emilio. We're gonna sell frisbees, with cup holders. And Bobby's like, that's not feasible. Okay, that's too much plastic. The world's going green. We can't do it.
Yeah, take
like
it to Shark
that's
Tank.
Bobby's job.
I want to say something that's not on here. I totally forgot. So just very quickly, Risk of Rain 2 had some sort of anniversary happen, and they gave a character away without you having to unlock him. There's now a rogue in the game. He's very cool. He's like a drifter cowboy dude, and he can go invisible and does massive bonus damage from behind. Doesn't have much armor. Straight up rogue.
So he does massive boner damage from behind.
I might have stumbled.
It was bonus, but
bonus.
It can be
damage.
boner.
Yeah, boner.
It's interchangeable.
Boner, bonus.
Okay.
A bonus boner. Yeah, just wanted to mention it. Like it came out of nowhere. I just a lot of the times if I just want to like shoot stuff, I just put this in single player mode and just play. Not long. I play one round and it just satisfies it scratches a lot of itches. The roguelike, the shooter, and I have a good time.
Probably
the music.
Itching from an STD from that massive boner damage.
Get it, Bobby.
You know what I was
5th grade humor here.
the one time we all had a boner at the same time, it was the last time we played this game. It was me, Emilio, and I can't remember who else from the community, but we ended up playing, and we were like, yeah, man, they added this new super boss, and it's really hard to get to him. 20 minutes later, we're to him, and we're like, oh, he seems pretty easy, and then instantly kills the guy that we're playing with, and we were like, oh God, this is bad.
Yeah.
And so that's what I remember from this game. It is a little repetitive, but as long as they keep adding bosses and characters and new shit, I'll keep playing it.
Speaking of bosses, I want to talk a little bit about the Huntdown. When the preview came out about this game, I was all about it. It's almost exactly like a grindhouse movie, like the Machete. It's exactly like that. It's the same voice. How do you clean out a city of scumbags? That whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You get Anaconda, and she's one of the characters. There's a couple other characters. There's not a huge difference between them. This is a side-scrolling 80s, a lot of 80s things in it, and it looks like an 80s game, honestly.
Yeah,
like
looks
the
like
graphic.
Double Dragon.
It looks like Double Dragon a lot. That graphically, and not just graphically, but I know it's a shooting game, but I don't know. I couldn't get away. That was the one thing I was like, man, this looks exactly like Double Dragon, and it feels like it, even though it's a shooter game, because it does have a little bit of 2.5D. Bobby, you can duck into doorways, and you can duck behind boxes, so it adds a little bit more to the shooting. So it's got really good reviews. It's like 95%, right? And if you look at their splash page or whatever, it's like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And I'm like, all right, what is it? So I'm playing it for about an hour and a half, and I was like, I don't get it. I'm going to return this game. I'm not seeing what everybody else is seeing. And then I'm playing, and then I'm playing, and then I'm playing, and I'm playing. And it's just growing on itself. I'm starting to appreciate the little things about it. First of all, it's got tons of style. It's got that whole 80s Lamborghinis neon thing going on. The hyperized version of the 80s. And the announcer and their little squawks or barks that they do. One of the guys, the main character, if you will, has the exact voice of Duke Nukem, and all the same kind of lines, and it doesn't stop. It's not like every 20 seconds. It's like every 10 seconds. It's like some sort of squawk, like "Welcome to the barbecue" when you use the flamethrower, stuff like that. It does not stop. It's just constant, but not so much where it's irritating. At least not yet, because they did so many of these lines, I would say the big thing about this game that I appreciate a ton is the bosses. Every world, if you will, has like 7 bosses, and I'm only halfway through the second world, but there's
Jeez.
tons of bosses, and there's so many. It's almost like a. There's a few games out there that are more boss centric than they are like level centric, and it's almost like that. I feel like half of the game is the bosses, and there's so much flavor and story added every time you fight a boss. It's really where the gameplay is at. You got to learn the. It took me right back. It's almost why I didn't like this game at first. I was like, I've seen all of this before. I've seen the pattern recognition, learning how to overcome the boss. I've been here. I've played River City Ransom. I've played all these games. Like, I got it. Why are we doing this game? And why it must be people with nostalgia. This is why it's getting such good reviews. But like I said, the more I played it, the more it kind of grooved, and the more I liked it. It's not a perfect game by far. Something like Hades is far, far above this, but I am enjoying myself, and I'm not going to return it because I'm going to beat this game. And a lot of that is just seeing the different bosses. It really, really takes you back to Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and not just that time, but the epitome of what that time could be. Not like modern mechanics. It's all old school mechanics, but it's just like it runs at a modern day pace. And so, yeah, I'm having a good time. I don't remember what I paid for it. I paid full price. I want to say $20.
Yeah, it's $20.
Yeah, it's $20. It's hard to say. Let me finish it first and say if it's worth $20. But right now, I would lean towards yes.
Wait, so this reminds me of a game called Volgar the Viking. This seems like it's way more fleshed out, though. Like, everybody was raving about Volgar the Viking. Was like, oh, it's a 10 out of 10 game. It's like a Souls-like, where it's like if you die, it's like, when you run out of quarters in a game, you have to start all the way at the beginning. And this seems like, I love the art style. I love the, like, I guess you're now pasta ravioli. I love all that shit. Like, whatever the fuck it is, it's hilarious to me most of the time. I gotta pick this up. Like, either just to play.
Just play it off my account, dude.
Friends are around.
We're gonna have.
Do you play 2 players?
Yeah, and that's one of the big selling points about this game that I haven't tried out. So it's a couch co-op, co-op or 2-player. So if we do remote play, that'll work out.
Yeah, no. Either play with you or play with Leslie or.
Do you have time after tonight?
Huh?
Do you have time after this podcast?
No, I don't. I gotta wake up early tomorrow for a test.
And there you go. There's the handoff.
There it goes. Instantly down. Instantly denied.
Yep.
Yeah.
When one shift ends, the other begins.
Oh yeah.
Shifts over here.
But so speaking of bosses, man, I've been playing Resident Evil Village. This is the first AAA game I've bought in a while. Man, it is a good game. Would I play it at $60? Personally, yes, only because it's like a thing that me and Leslie do every night now, where it's like, or every other night, where it's like, hey, we don't want to rush through the game and play everything at once. We want to take it slow, and I'm only gonna play when you're watching because she's like, you play, like it's more fluid and it's fun to watch you play. I'm like, all right. So the difficulty in this game is all peaks and valleys. There are some times where the game's really hard. And easy. I'm playing on normal mode. But have you guys ever played a game where a boss dictates how an area goes? Kind of like, I want to say like Mega Man, but this is like the same kind of concept, but with modern day graphics and like a bunch of, it's a first person shooter.
Are you saying like the bosses, the concept around the boss, like if it's a plant guy, he affects the plant level? Is that what
Exactly. So, an example, I'm not going to spoil anything because this game has a lot of story and there's a lot of spoilers to it. You don't have to play 7 and play 8, but however, 7 is a complimentary game. Shit, you could even play 8 and then play 7 because it's almost like a prequel and it explains a bunch of shit. But you don't have to play 7 and play 8. So for example, there are 4 main bosses. There's other mini bosses and there's other bosses, but there's 4 like kind of like quote unquote story bosses. One of them is a doll, and her area is very unique. And I'm not going to reveal like the mechanic. However, it changes the format of the game. You go from the area before it where you're kind of searching around and trying to like survive by killing zombies and stuff to just a pure horror game. So it gets really interesting. Like the play styles change per level. It's almost like it has different genres in each boss zone. So it's pretty interesting.
Nick, I wasn't going to talk about It Takes Two this week, but you just kind of described It Takes Two a lot. So the way that the boss affects the level, and how when I was talking to you about how trippy those ghost bass were.
Yes.
There's you know what reminded It Takes Two is really reminding me of now, Bobby, and why it's so good. Probably the best level design I had ever seen was Psychonauts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're talking about here. Like, it's not really because of the psychosis of the person that's affecting the levels, but it's the toys of the little girl and the levels that, because they're trying to protect the little girl from you, the parents, to getting back to her. So each of her toys kind of has a level designed after her, but it's done to the nth degree, much like Psychonauts, where it's just like you take a small concept and you turn it into an entire level, and that's what we're going through. And then there's one point where you're in a kaleidoscope level, and Nick, now I know what you're talking about, where you're talking about the trippy shit. Like, how trippy is that fucking level, dude?
It's amazing.
There was times where I was like almost nauseous. I was like, what is going on? It's so crazy.
And I think It Takes Two is almost my game of the year so far. Like we have another 7 months before we can decide game of the year. It's so good, and I think one of the thing that kind of harps on like the the gameplay aspect and the changing of the mechanics and everything for every level. So me and Leslie, we were playing, and then we would get comfortable on a level where we wouldn't have to say anything to each other, like revolving a mechanic. Like it'd be like, okay, you stick that with the goo and I'll explode it. In the beginning, it's like, okay, now I'll explode it at this time, and then eventually at the end of that level, we'd just be like doing everything automatically without saying anything.
Yeah.
But every fucking time we the level started, we would have had to restart. Like we would have to like be like, okay, what does this do? Okay, how does this work? How does this incorporate into the level now? Like, and so I think that's one beautiful part of the game is like and it almost sticks to the story where it's
Dude, do you think that was on that wasn't on purpose? Like 100%. So the book, this like super machismo Mexican book, is being like, collaboration. Like he's trying to make you guys work together, and then every 15 minutes you have 2 new mechanics you have to make work together, and then just like Nick is saying, by the end of the 15-20 minutes, it's second nature. So you have this problem and you're working your way through it. Then you have a new problem, you work your way through it. And it's almost like, I mean, I'm not going to put it on here, but Sam and I have been having some problems, and this game's a little bit like counseling. It really, really is. And the character progression, they're going through their shit, and it's fucking crazy, man. Like, we're working together to solve problems, and it's repetitive, but not at all repetitive because you're doing new problems every time. And I have a new appreciation for this game.
All right. Who needs marriage counseling when you've got
Video
Takes
games?
Two?
Yeah.
I wouldn't take that advice though. All right. What else have you guys been playing? Or is that it? I think that's about it, except for a little bit of news.
Yeah, so Metro Exodus is the first PC game, I think, that accepts the DualSense
Feature.
feature.
Yeah, no,
from the
there's a bunch of
PS5
features, and
controllers.
I want to hit on this because this, for the first time, affected me when I started playing Village, and I didn't get to talk about this because I didn't want to like distant because it's like a PC podcast or whatever.
Oh,
but
you're
go
playing
ahead.
Village on the PS5.
Yes, I got
Okay.
I got a couple gift cards for my birthday, and so I bought.
You don't have
Village
to.
as well.
You don't have to explain, dude. It's cool. It's fine.
Huh?
You don't have to explain. You don't have to. There's no
Wait,
caveats
I think I do
here.
see.
Huh?
Hello?
Hello?
Wow, dude. The episode just stopped.
He just
cold in its
quit?
tracks.
He just quit.
Yeah, he's gone. I don't know what happened to him.
I'm back. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm back. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there's like a hiccup in my network or something, but like it disappeared. So what did I miss?
Just start talking about the DualSense and Village.
So
Turn that camera on, by the way.
the controller is amazing. It's obviously like a product of its time. Everyone one-upping because of competing with each other. So this is just one prime example of a bunch of features it has. So, for example, in the real world, when you shoot firearms, when you pull a trigger, there is the pull point, and then there's like a snapping point where once you get past that point, the gun, fires, and then the bullet goes out of the gun, right? Well, in Resident Evil, it does the same fucking thing. But not only that, the pressure is different depending on the gun. So, like, in the beginning of the game, I'm like trying to pull the trigger on the gun, and I'm pulling the trigger, and I'm like, wait. Why is it like? I'm like, is the fucking controller stuck? And then like I pushed it a little bit harder, and it went through. Like the gun shot. And I was like, oh hell no! Like, is my controller broken or something? And then I switched controllers, and I was like, oh my god, this is a feature, and it's awesome. Like it brings haptic feedback to all the buttons. It makes some of the buttons harder to press or easier to press depending on what you're using. And the PC features that can be used on this is like unsurmountable, dude. It's so cool.
Does the PS5 have a wireless option for PC?
I'm not sure.
So from my understanding, there is a program, I think it's first party, where you can plug in your, because it's USB to USB-C, because it's USB-C for the PlayStation 5, so all you Pixel users, there you go. You just plug it into your PC and it syncs to it, and then you're good. You're good to go. I think it uses Bluetooth. But it's crazy because I don't know if you guys saw this week. They announced it on Reddit. Apple is selling the PlayStation 5 remote on their website to be played on their Windows.
So there's certain things on the Apple Store that have DualSense.
No. They're selling the PlayStation 5. But
Oh.
what it is like they're like, oh, normally when Apple doesn't sell proprietary hardware for gaming, they only sell keyboards, mice, and everything like that. But they're like, this is essentially the official gaming controller for the Apple Store is the PS5 DualSense controller.
I've heard it's amazing, dude. I've heard that not only does it make the game feel better and all that stuff, but it's taking games to the next level. So Metro Exodus, the guy shows what happens, right? So he's pushing the trigger, and there's recoil, and there's true recoil in the trigger. So it's harder to even push the trigger it's almost like you can feel it bouncing up the AK-47 as you're shooting it. And that's going to fuck up your aim, but it makes it more realistic, and it sounds like a whole lot of fucking fun, man.
The thing is, you can also turn it off in the controls menu for Resident Evil. If you can actually completely disable the feature on your PlayStation 5,
Well,
like for those super sweaty people that play Call of Duty and stuff like that.
Nick, from what I just said and from what you just said, both of those features, although cool as fuck, do make the game harder.
Yes. And I have noticed that. I was like, dude, I suck ass in Resident Evil, and I'm pretty good in shooters, even on PlayStation. But I'm like, oh, this is so much fun because like you shoot the shotgun and the trigger, you have to let go and then pull it again to fire. But because you're pumping the action of the shotgun, it's not a semi-auto. Because you're pumping, the trigger resets and becomes harder to pull until he's done pumping. So
Is
it's
it
nuts.
worth? Is it worth the added difficulty?
Yeah. Oh, hands down. I think it's probably one of the coolest features of the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation 5 remote.
Yep. I can't say for Exodus, but I would say that any kind of new mechanic that people aren't shitting all over and are saying is like new next generation mechanics. I mean, it sounds great. Haptic.
Yeah.
We've talked about haptic forever.
Feedback.
We've talked about it forever in Ready Player One, stuff like that. It's never really come to light. But now, you want to jump higher, push it harder, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see more and more things happen because like PlayStation 4 changed a bunch of stuff in their remotes while the system was out. So we might even see more integration into it. So you never know.
Let's just be clear here. The only reason that I use an Xbox controller is because it was the one that was easier to. I mean, they had a PC version of the controller. You just buy it. Xbox controller for PC. Had it been my choice, I would have probably done a PlayStation. Now, you could do PlayStations, and a lot of people do PlayStations controllers on their computer, but it's not just set up from the ground up, and you have to change the BIOS, and every video game you play, you have to change all the controllers just so you can play. Almost every PC game you just plug and play with the Xbox controller, and that's why I chose that one. But if it has additional functionality, I mean, we're talking like 3 years out. Let's say, where are we in 3 years? With the PlayStation devoting more and more of their games towards PC, and the DualSense also getting better and better reviews, where are we going to be in 3 years? Maybe somewhere where I would play a PlayStation game, controller instead of an Xbox.
So I just double checked. I want to clarify. I don't want to, say wrong shit. To use the PlayStation 5 remote on the PC, your computer either has to be Bluetooth enabled or have an exposed USB slot. So a USB slot on the outside or the back that is able to be used. And that's it. That's all you have to use.
My new Aurora A12 or Aurora R12 has 14 USBs. 14, dude. I was so stoked. 14! 14!
You're like in Step Brothers where it's like, look, there's so much room for activities.
Dude, it felt like my penis got hit by, the tip of my penis got hit by a lightning bolt. That's what it felt like when I saw a cluster of USB ports on the back and like 4 or 5 on the front. I'm like, oh, wow. Amazed.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't do controllers, man.
Yeah, I remember you telling me, you're like, why is there 2 joysticks on the controller, boy? Okay, I can't move an
Why is there one joystick,
Bobby,
man? I still like the D-pad.
Bobby just erased 20 minutes of our conversation. He's like, not applicable to me.
Nah, man, mouse and keyboard. Which, here's the thing. On the PS5, you can use a mouse and keyboard. So, hey. Taste your own.
Cool.
As long as it's Bluetooth, you can use it.
Time for listener questions.
Listener questions.
You want to read them, or who do you want to
Not
read
me,
them
I'm
this
too
week?
drunk.
Yeah, I can read them. Let's see what we got here. We've only got 3. First one is from Warconius. What's the official DLG position on the Israeli-Palestine conflict? Just kidding. Thank God. Seriously, though, why are games media getting political? I just find it weird that these discussions are being made to be political in game media. For example, Hong Kong, BLM, Gamergate. Ooh.
Okay, so I saw this question earlier, and I decided to kind of come up with a cohesive answer. I
fit
think
right in.
as our society begins to integrate itself in all facets, where each thing becomes closer and closer. If we look at like the 80s, for example, people that played video games didn't really go out to the club. However, now you see an integration in our culture where like video games are commonplace. And it's kind of like everyone kind of has universal knowledge. But not only that, but there are companies that own sub companies. For example, Amazon, they're pretty vocal as far as like their political outlook and things like that. But they also make games. And so everyone wants to know what's your quip on this or that. And so things because things are getting so close, everyone has an opinion. Does that make sense?
Well, you're talking to us? Yes. Yes.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is my mic still working? Yeah, apparently it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just nobody cares, Bobby. It's the problem you're running into.
But what about you? What's your response?
It's a real question, man. I don't know what's being asked here.
Well, I don't know what's going on with Israel and Palestine.
Oh.
I mean,
I don't think we should talk about that. It's a little touchy.
There's
But,
there's a Martyr Made podcast. It's 23 hours. I listened to the whole thing, and at the end of it, you have a pretty good idea of what's going on.
well, I know there's a lot of history there, some of which I'm familiar with, but as far as recent events, I'm not too sure because he's referring to an article that was posted about IGN. They were upset because something was posted about aiding Palestine, and then it was taken down, and then some employees at IGN were upset about it being taken down. But yeah, as far as games being political, I don't think that's avoidable, really. If you're an adult, pretty much everything is political these days. It touches on just about everything. So I don't know. I think sometimes you just have to choose how you're going to. I don't know, dude. To be honest, I play old games like Stubbs the Zombie from a different time. Like I know, like when the Division 2 or the Division came out, and that was kind of a hot topic because they were like, "Oh, we're not political," and yet the game starts out with it definitely has some commentary about guns because it's like post-apocalyptic, but a lot of Americans have survived because they own guns, and it takes place I think it starts out in DC. So yeah, I don't know if you can stay apolitical these days.
Look, man, politics is about people. Most of the people are playing video games now. More money than movie and music combined. So those things are going to integrate, and it all depends on each company on what their approach is going to be on integrating those politics. You said the boomer. How did that come up?
Sniper put that in our show notes.
Oh, okay, great.
oh, geez.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to try to sound smart. I'm fucking wasted.
We're way past that.
It all hit me at once.
We should shout out. We've had a lot of subscriptions here that we've been ignoring. We got Cricket Soldier at 19 months. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Cricket.
We've got JP Diddy, 24 months, hitting the 2-year mark.
Damn.
Thanks,
What
dude.
an achievement. And then we've got Katoom 250 at 11 months.
How about Exuberant with the fucking raid, dude?
And a subscription here with the Prime
Thank you,
subscription.
Exuberant.
Nice.
Really appreciate that, man.
Very cool. Wow.
Exuberant rated us with some viewers. That was very cool, too.
It's not even, that's an awful lot of subs for this late in the month. But we appreciate it, guys. We appreciate all
How about
the
people
support.
just like us, Bobby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Bobby's like, unless you're in a hot tub, ain't nobody liking you, buddy.
That's true. We should get our hot tub stream going. Really get the viewers in here.
Gross, dude.
I don't know.
Who do you think has more body hair, Bobby?
I have surprisingly little body hair for an Italian.
I have like none.
Yeah.
You
You
guys
don't
are
look very
slick
good.
as seals, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, it's definitely me then. All right.
Yeah, no, it's you.
Tattooed Terror. Who can read that?
Tattooed Terror asks, what are some of your thoughts on Epic's attempt to be the next Roblox with their new platform Core?
I have to look up I have to look this up. I don't know what any
Core.
of this
Well,
is.
I'll explain generally what it is. So, uh, I never thought about it as being like a Roblox clone. Core is this free game, I guess you could call it. You can get from Epic, and it's kind of like, I don't know. I always thought of it like Gary's Mod or something, where you can create your own world, or you can go around and see other people's creations.
That's Roblox so far.
Yeah, kind of like that. But they have like a hub that you go into, and then you can walk into other people's games. It's really very interesting. It allows for people to create their own content and then share that with others a lot more easily than I've seen some of the other games that kind of do the same thing.
Well, that's how Epic started out, right? Epic was a engine, wasn't it? Originally?
No, but how they got rich was because of their engine. They
that's
they
what it
did
was.
so. Fortnite was originally a zombie survival game,
Yeah.
and they had a kind of like where like every week there's like a bonus mode,
Mhm.
and as a joke, they had a battle royale because PUBG was doing so good, and then they like saw like a quintuple amount of subscribers and purchases, and they decided to just completely go that way. You know, the
And now
rest is history.
$7 billion later.
Yeah,
Yeah, but what
but yeah,
does that
no,
have
so
to do with the
so
engine?
this is
Because don't they use, what do they use? Unreal or what's?
it is the Unreal Engine, but however, it's like formatted and limited so that certain things are only available in certain assets. If you look at Core and you look at Fortnite, it's the same exact engine. It's just they look a little bit different. But in my opinion, what it is that they're trying to capitalize on the idea that not everybody can have a good computer, and Roblox already does this. Can they succeed like Roblox? Sure, they have the talent, they have the money to do it. Do I think it's a cool business model? No. If I want to play a shooter or if I want to play a story-driven game, I can't do that on Core. Or if I do it on Core, it's not going to be the way I want it to be, you know?
Yeah.
Like they made Escape from Tarkov in Roblox. And so if they want to do that, that's fine, but I'd rather play Escape from Tarkov than instead of Escape from Tarkov from Roblox. What this is for kids or people that don't have a lot of money or that don't have high-end computers, and you know that I can run Core, and so therefore I can play anything on Core. And the idea of telling a mom, hey, you get this one game and you can play an infinite amount of games on it, you know, people are going to buy it or people are going to tell their kids to use it, right?
Not just that too, but it's fostering young developers that don't even know they're going to be developers. Like they can cut their teeth right here. This is a good way for them to see what works and what doesn't work. And I feel like something like this or like Roblox, we're going to get some down the road 10 years from now, we're going to have some grade A developers coming out of building games for Gary's Mod, Roblox.
Do you remember a
and
PlayStation
Core.
called Little Big Planet?
Yeah.
So Little Big Planet did this a long time ago for the PlayStation. It was around the same time Roblox came out. It was Little Big Planet 2 that had the customization. And they saw the same success. It's only tied to the PlayStation. Like everybody that had a PlayStation that had like a kid would make their kid play Little Big Planet, and they would get lost because like you were playing a third person shooter on Little Big Planet, or you were playing like a first person shooter or like a racing game on Little Big Planet, and so eventually that actually ended up becoming a kart game that was a separate game. So it's been done before. Obviously, one of the biggest games in the world
Counter-Strike
is
was a mod.
like Counter-Strike's another one.
We're talking about mods is what we're talking about now. That's what we're getting at.
Yeah, but that's what this game is. It's a central hub for a mod system.
Yeah.
But not only that, you can change the core gameplay itself. So
you can create your own games. And the tool set that
exactly,
they
you can
have
create
in
your own
there
game with assets.
looks pretty robust too. One cool thing that they add into it is you create your character, your avatar, and you can take that character into all these different games. And I think you can upgrade cosmetics and stuff as well. But you feel like you're the same character going to all these different ones.
Which gives you a little bit of like Ready Player One feel.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
so here's a
that's
shot.
exactly what it's like. Where in Ready Player One, it's all the same engine, but they have different. They have the racing game, and they have the all that stuff. It's the same exact concept.
Yeah. It might appeal to more of a mature audience than Roblox. Here's the thing about Roblox, man. It's incredibly juvenile. I work with middle school kids, and they look down upon Roblox. They make fun of each other like, you still play Roblox, you know?
Yeah, but young kids need a game too.
Yeah. Well, like, we're talking...
Yeah.
Juveniles need a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, a game,
My
right?
niece is 8, and she plays Roblox. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mila,
about the age range.
Well,
But those aren't... you could definitely capitalize off them with their parents, but... I don't know if you're going to make a whole lot of money, but maybe it's not about making money. Well,
you
it's
think
a game.
Roblox is...
let me check how much Roblox is worth.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
it's
yeah.
$56 a share right now.
Please, dude. Please. Yeah, there's a lot of money. But
Yeah.
they're also kind of the only game in town.
Yeah, but my original point with this was that this is probably going to appeal to the more mature gamers.
Yeah. Your 19-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
16
So currently, the net worth of Roblox, the company that makes Roblox, is $4 billion. But at a trading system in this, at the trading system of the IP itself, it's worth $30 billion.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of money to be made with this kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
it's like Angry Birds, man, or it's like Candy Crush. You get people to spend $2 or $3 here and there, where it's easy to spend the money, and they don't realize they're spending it. You're gonna get people that spend $300 in 2 weeks.
Yikes. Yeah. I don't know if I care for that business model, but
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't realize this game was free. Guess it's not really
Yeah.
a game. Maybe I'll check it out. Seems like an interesting idea. Okay.
So you want to read the last one?
Yep. Last question here we got from Zap. What's your least favorite example of video game logic? I hate it when you play a game series and your character has to relearn every move over the course of each game. All right.
Oh
So
man,
bad
that is
video game logic.
that is probably a very, very, very similar thing to what I'm gonna say. It's almost. I agree with it. I agree with Zap here. And my one example is God of War. Only because in the first 3 God of War games, you had to unlock all the weapons again to be able to, use them in every game. And it's like, wait, didn't I kill all these people before? And then they come up with some dumb trope like, oh, you lost all these things in like a shipwreck or something. But I think the thing that I would like to see to remedy that issue is like, hey, if you play the first one, then you have all this shit already, But yeah, no, that's one of my biggest video game logic. I thought he meant like video game logic in the sense of like, oh, you try to teleport in Halo, and if there's a guy standing on top of it, you can't teleport. I don't know. I thought
that could apply too. I think that would work as well.
What about you?
I've got big problems with level design sometimes. I think Dead Space did this, and I'm positive Alien Isolation did this because that game was super long. But you'll start a new level, and it'll be like, hey, just walk over here and flip that switch. And you walk over there, and then there's like a cave-in, or the ship gets damaged, and a bunch of stuff falls in your way. And then you get directed through this huge path going all around the ship to get to that original point that was just right there a moment ago. And sometimes it's really frustrating when it's just like a chest-high wall or scrap, but your character can't jump over it or something.
Especially that game, there's 0 jumping or climbing, right?
Yes, and which is infuriating.
Yeah.
Now I think that takes the cake more than Zap's example. I fucking hate that shit.
Yeah, because you feel like, I don't know. Alien Isolation was 25 hours long, way too long for a game like that, and it just felt like you're just being dragged around all over the ship. And another similar thing that I always complain about is in every game they're just like, oh no, you have to, whatever is not working, you'll have to manually realign the thrusters, and you've got to go all the way over here to do that. Like nothing ever works. Like
Nothing ever.
It's just all busy work, man.
Yeah, you feel like you're giving not important busy work. There's very little meaning to it.
I guess for me it would be like nonsensical side quests, elaborating on busy work. There's some that just eat up game time. literally all you did was pick up that thing over there and take it over there. Why'd you do it? Who knows? But fucking this guy needed that shit, so you went and got it. Unlike The Witcher 3, every single side quest seemed to have a tiny bit of tie-in to the main story, and if not, was so profound in itself that it was rewarding in itself. And that's why, like...
I want to harp in on that as well. I think you're very right. My example for the negative is when you have a quest, it's like, oh, when you do this quest, the weapon you get is amazing, and then it turns out the weapon is shittier than the one that you get, right? And then you already have. So you're like, why the fuck did I just do that for the 20 shekels a sword is worth?
I think you just beat me, dude. Yeah. Oh, man, that hurts.
So the thing is, in any kind of, for the Witcher example, if it was a quest where it's like, you can either accept money or the relic. And like whatever helps you out more is going to be the one you choose, right? If the relic is like a sweet ass sword that's better than the one you have, you're going to choose the sword. However, if the money is like you need to be able to buy potions or whatever, you're going to take the money.
Yeah.
And so that obviously can't be done for everything. It's hard. It's hard to plan and to write with. But when it comes to like, why did I just do this side quest for like this fucking gun that is completely useless to me right now? And it happens all the time in video games right now.
Yeah.
Well, we'd be here all day if we just sat around and talked about everything
No,
that annoyed us about
let's do
video games.
15 or 45 minutes on things that bother us about video games. We could
How
do a whole
about-
podcast.
How about we just talk about what we're playing next week?
Days Gone. I'm excited about that, actually.
Cool.
I will be playing Grifters at least.
Griftlands.
I will be playing Days Gone, and I'll be finishing Resident Evil because I'm on the last two bosses.
Oh, that far. Okay. Well, remember, we're going to talk about Days Gone in 2 weeks, so don't come in next week talking about it.
I'm not going to be here next week.
Yeah, I was talking to Emilio. I need to check in with Deep Rock Galactic. They had a big update a while back. I just haven't been playing that game on Fridays. We've been so into Vermintide too. So.
And Griftlands. You've been getting your itch from Griftlands too.
Yeah, Griftlands. I've been playing way too much of that.
Or
I
like
needed to stop.
Nick thinks it's called Grift Dudes.
Grifters.
I said Griftlands. That's Grifters. That's what I said.
Grifters, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Speaking for Bobby, no Chris this time. Nick and myself grifted. It gets worse every week, Bobby. It gets worse every week.
Okay.
It's like Kaiser Soze almost. You're just like looking around the room at like whatever object you can see, and then that's what you